Thank you for waking up with Happy Ass. We come together to grow in mind, body, and spirit, so we can in turn go out and make the world a brighter place to live for ourselves and for others. So I hesitated to do a live this morning because I've got podcast coming out. In fact, it's already out. So make sure you go listen to it. It's myself with Morris Hunter talking about his self-love project that has been going on for quite a while. He's been focused on this. I think the self-love came before the all the beautiful art that encompasses self-love and the jackets and stuff like that. But what I want to talk to you about today is what is stuck in your craw. What, or are you motivated by desire or disaster? I talked about it a little bit this morning in my little getting my hormones on, and did a little thing to talk about Elysium Med Spa, who I thank very much for sponsoring my Happy Ass Life. And I want to thank Pepsi Cola, of course. They're so precious to me. I love them dearly. I love what they're doing in our community, and I love how they treat me and others, and that makes me so happy. And of course, I've got to thank Holiday Beach Mechanical, even though they're over here a lot fixing stuff. What's going on with that, guys? Why is everything always breaking? But I'm so glad they're here for my air conditioning, my all that stuff like that, you know. So let's move on to what I was talking about. So what is stuck in your craw? So that is, and I'm going to look at this, so I'll make sure I don't get it wrong, because it's no Southern expression. Actually, it's not even a Southern expression. I just think it is because I heard it so much growing up in the South. You hear a lot of stuff growing up in the South. I think people have written a whole book on all the expressions in the South. So this one is what is stuck in your craw. So I heard people saying all the time, my mama said it a lot, what is stuck in your craw? It arrived from, actually, I think it was an old English thing that people said, but it came from birds. So what would happen is a bird would get something stuck in their craw, which is the crop right here, and it made them irritated, and they couldn't swallow until they got rid of it, and until it got unstuck from the craw. It's kind of like us. We get something stuck in our bodies and our souls and our minds. It just irritates us to no end. But how long do we let it irritate us before we do something about it? Or do we do something about it? Or does it have to get disastrous to do something about it? I don't know how many of us are like this. I think I do it in a lot of things, but maybe not everything, because I am a very growth-oriented person. I love to focus on growth. I love to focus on my growth. I love to focus on becoming a better human, because I think that is what I am God-led to do. My experience with my form of Christianity, how I was raised, was trying to figure out how I could be a better service to my fellow man. How can I be the best possible use in this world to be used by God to make the world a brighter place? So that motivated me a lot. It still motivates me today, especially when I sit down and take time to listen, and I take time. Like this morning, I got up at 3:30 a.m. and I have been studying and reading and just spending time in quiet meditation. And every time I spend extra time like that, I realize that that is the thing that I have to do for things not to get stuck in my craw. Let me see what else I wrote about it. Okay, so yeah, it says if it gets stuck in the craw, the bird cannot swallow it, and it causes irritation and distress. Causes irritation and distress. But the thing is, like I said, how much irritation and distress does that have to cause? Okay, some of the examples for me was I had been overweight for quite a while. You know, and a lot of my friends said, oh, you weren't that overweight. You weren't that overweight. Well, y'all, guess what? I was a lot overweight. Maybe I carried it fairly well, or maybe you were just so used to seeing it, or maybe my personality was big to match the weight. I don't know what it was. But for years, I tapped it down. Now, in my heart, I knew I didn't feel good about myself, and I just kind of overlooked it because it didn't really do anything but make me not fit into clothes, make me try on about 5 or 6 different outfits where I could feel like something looked okay on me. I piled on a lot of jewelry, so maybe you wouldn't notice my weight. You know, and a lot of y'all don't know that because they didn't really talk about it until afterwards. I think that's what happens a lot of times with us. Something is stuck in our craw, something is driving us crazy, and we just don't want to face it. we don't even want to talk about it. We want to act like it's not there. We just move on to something else because we don't want to face it. And I think that's what I did in the area of my weight. But when I got COVID, I got so sick. And I also was getting sick a lot before even COVID came. I was just, same time every year. Right now, I've got this thing again, whatever, but I'm taking Sudafed and all the stuff like that, and I'm doing pretty good. But back to my point. So I was so sick with COVID and started really asking myself, what are the things that I can do so that this doesn't happen again? What are the things that I can contribute to my health and my well-being so that I can feel good and healthy in my body? Like I said, I reached out to Dr. Jim Berg. She has a medical practice, by the way, now downtown Panama City, right next to our Beachy Beach headquarters. Whoop, whoop, Beachy Beach. I called her and she helped me. And you know what we started with? We talked about the diet. We talked about the macros and the nutrients, all that stuff. But you know what she told me? The very first week, she said, I'm going to give you a fitness program to go work out with. I want you to lift weights. Not too much cardio, just do 20 minutes. I think at first I started with 15 minutes. 15 minutes cardio, 15 minutes treadmill, whatever. Didn't really break a sweat on either of them, just mild cardio. And I did that 4 days a week. That's how I started. And she said, I want you to write down everything you're eating right now, And a lot of things I thought I was doing were okay. A lot of them that were not okay because I hadn't really dived into it. I hadn't really looked at it. So she tweaked my nutrition. She set me out on a path of progress. That was 3 years ago. Y'all, this is hard to even say. I am 50 pounds lighter. 50. Where was 50 pounds on this 4'9" body? But this is the thing. Until it got stuck in my craw, until I was so sick of it, I did not change. And I made a big change. For me, it needed a big change that I could live with and I could deal with. And it was a change that I had to live with forever. It was something I could do forever. That was not low carb. You people that do that, God love you. I ain't giving up my bread. I ain't giving up my delicious blueberries from Aldi's. Not doing it. Not giving up my pasta from Frucci's. Shout out for Frucci's. And for you people who are gluten intolerant, they have gluten-free stuff too. So check them out. Back to the podcast. So that's what I did, until it got so irritating, till I got sick of it. I didn't do anything about it. Okay. Another thing, and I'll be honest with you, I still haven't arrived at this one yet. I have been very honest with you about my inability to be really good money manager. And it's not that I'm selfish with my money. It's not that I keep it all for myself. A lot of my money goes to other people because part of it's people pleasing. I'm going to be quite honest with you. Part of it's, I really do believe I'm put here to be of service to my fellow man. And I do believe it's God's. It's God's money, not my money. And he's given it all to me to share. So I want to share. But I'm realizing as I get older and I'm at this phase of life that if I don't intentionally pay attention to my money. Shout out to people wonderful like Andrea Lee who try to help me in that direction. And I'm going to get more help from her because just like Jim Berg was amazing to coach me through my fitness journey, Andrea Lee is a badass of all badasses, y'all. Overall, getting your stuff together in those areas. She's so good at that. So I'm going to talk to her more about helping me in that area. But I was really not being smart in that area. I'm much smarter in my company area than in my personal area because I know other people depend on me. Isn't that crazy how we are? Another thing that's stuck in my craw right now, I'm just being honest with you, so maybe you can tell me what's stuck in your craw, is I'm still not nailing that people-pleasing thing. I've got some things that I need to do. I've got some people I need to talk to about certain things. But let me talk to you about this too. Let's kind of shift a minute. Because I want to do everything just right, because I want to live my life just right, because I want to please God. I want to please the universe. I want to be a person that's pleasing. I can't always distinguish in what is mine to tell and what is mine not to tell. Like I know being honest is so important, but maybe there's some things that are my personal things that everybody doesn't know about. Maybe some people don't need to know about. Maybe I'm protecting myself. I don't know. I don't have the answers. But are some of these things bothering you too? Isn't this making any sense? So I'm working on that. So I'm really digging into reading, studying, ask God to show me where are the areas that I can improve. This is an area, I don't know if I've talked to you about this before, in my people pleasing that I do, that I'm going to really focus on. Okay, I like to shop. Y'all know that. By the way, this is from Amore Boutique. Isn't it cute? And my necklace is from Gypsy Willow, both beautiful, precious podcast sponsors. I'm so thankful for them. But this is what I do sometimes. And I would love to hear if any of you do this. I'm almost embarrassed to admit this because it's really embarrassing. But I'm really trying to be honest in the way that maybe I can be real about what I deal with so that maybe other people can say, oh, you too. It's not just me. Thank God it's not just me. It can't be just me. If it is just me, then I will be totally embarrassed. But I will sometimes go in a store and I really don't want to buy anything. But because I want to bless the store owner, I buy the thing. Now, if I really, really want the thing, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing, and if it's in my budget. Yeah, that's another little thing. If I really want it, and it's in my budget. But if I'm buying it because I feel badly that I didn't buy something, I feel badly that I didn't bless them, that is not cool. That is something that's stuck in my craw. And until I deal with it effectively, now I'm really good, I'm okay with this, like in stores like Dick's and, I don't care. I don't get all wrapped around the chain. But boutiques, because that's what I grew up on. I give such fond memories of shopping in boutiques because that's how I lived. Shout out to Breyer's Apparel. I know that Susan watches this podcast, and I used to go to Breyer's Apparel, and I just would go in and get stuff. It's like put it on my daddy's tab, put it on my mama's tab. I just loved it. I loved that place, and they would gawk over you if you put on something cute and stuff like that. And it was just a boutique feel, which is what I love. But the issue with that is a boutique feel feels so much like home to me. It feels like I want to please them. I want to bless them. All those things. So, that was a lot. I hope that meant something to somebody. So I want to really ask myself, and maybe you need to ask yourself too, what is stuck in your craw? What are some tactics and techniques that you can use to get it unstuck from your craw? When I was I was listening to, because I listen to while I'm folding clothes, which I seem to be doing a lot. And I was listening to John Acuff's podcast, All It Takes Is a Goal. And he was speaking to Juliet Funt, who is the daughter of Alan Funt from Candid Camera. And she was talking about, she's a speaker, writer, author, all the things. And she really deals a lot with people who are in leadership. And she noticed something in leadership, that a lot of times people at the higher levels end up not getting help. It can happen to all of us. But she's dealing with leadership, and a lot of the higher levels, they don't get help until it's a disaster. They don't get help until their elevator goes to the bottom floor. Hugh talked about that a lot in AA. That usually happens a lot in AA. Most people don't get help for their alcoholism and their drug addiction until they've maybe lost, their health, lost their job, lost maybe their family, just lost, so much loss is wrapped up until they cannot go any further, until their only way up is up. The only way out is up. And Hugh said he wasn't that kind of drunk. He said, I was a low bottom drunk. I just was miserable with myself. I was sick of being who I was. I didn't like who I was. I didn't like what I saw in myself. I wanted more for myself. I wanted to have more of a life. And he changed, and he sought therapy. He sought help. He sought AA, and he was sober for 26 years before he died. But most of us don't do that. Most of us have to have a disaster. And so John Acuff asked her and said, so how do leaders change? The leaders are in trouble, that get in big trouble. How do they change? Do they change because they have a desire to? Or do they change because there's a disaster? And she said, you know what? 10% is desire and 90% is disaster. Whew. You know, I hope I can take a lesson from that. I hope I can learn vicariously through that and make some changes and tweaks in my life in the areas that need changing and tweaking. And I really think about that a lot right now because I am now about to be 67 years young. I am almost level 67. And I know I've talked about that a lot lately, but I'm kind of excited about it. There's something, I don't know, I feel like 67 is the year. In fact, so much so, I've been looking for a number 67. You see shirts all the time with 68 on them, or 66, or 92. I don't know. All these jersey, I guess it's jersey numbers. I don't know, because I'm not a sports person. But I want to find me a jersey that says 67 on it, because I just feel like there's some changes I need to make this year. And if not now, when? Seriously, Karen, I have more of my life has been lived than is going to be lived. So I don't want to waste this one precious life. How about you? I hope this is resonating with some of you, and I hope it says something to you that says, hey, listen, let me stop a minute. Let me think. What is in my craw? What is stuck? What is the thing that I'm heading towards disaster and I don't want to reach? I don't want my elevator to reach the bottom. What can I do today? What is the one thing I can do today? One thing, So the other thing that they said on the podcast, and I'm stealing it. Let me find it. So John Acuff talks a lot about soundtracks, things we say to ourselves repeatedly. And the sad news is that most of the things we say to ourselves are negative, right? Until we change those soundtracks. And so I intentionally changed negative soundtracks to positive soundtracks. I've been doing that since I was 10 years old, growing up in an alcoholic home. And it has served me. Oh my gosh, it served me through divorce. It served me through addiction. It has served me through 2008 crash. It has served me right now as real estate's been crazy for the last 3 years. It's just a weird little roller coaster ride. It has served me so much, and it's still serving me today. So this is my affirmation that I stole from John Acuff and Juliet Funt today. Working on myself is a joy and a project. Breathe that in. Working on myself is a joy and a project. I want to remember that today. I want to think on that today. I want to pray on that today. I'm really going to focus on that today because I don't want to wait for disaster. I want to have the desire, and I do have the desire, but do I have the follow through? Do I have the stick-to-itiveness to pay attention to that craw, that thing stuck in my craw, so that I can change it? Because if I do, I will make the world brighter and sweeter for myself and for others. And that is the whole point. That's the whole point, y'all. The whole point. So, I am thankful I was here with you this morning. Please don't miss my podcast with Maurice. It's a good one about self-love. Towards the end of April, I'll have a few little reruns so I can be working on the next season. I am super thankful for all the precious people that have stayed with me throughout this season. I'm so thankful for those that have been with me the past year, but it's not in their budget or where they're going to be aligned with that. That is beautiful too. For everyone that's had a part in this podcast, through loving me, through prayer, through sharing it, all those things, I thank you so much, so much, because I have a great desire to make this world a world of a bunch of happy-ass people who love people and lift people up and know that there's joy in working on yourself. Be sweet, y'all.